Welcome to the Acquisition Collective podcast. I am your host, Charlie Tanner. Thank you for tuning in. This is the place where we discuss all things around the M&A landscape. So if that sounds like it's up your street, then stay tuned and let's dive into this week's guest. So this week's episode, we have Stevie Arroyo here to join us at the Acquisition Collective. Stevie Arroyo is master of brand, and he will run us through everything to do with brand and what it can bring to the world of M&A and how it can propel a business into the upper sphere, as he likes to say. Yeah, thanks for coming on, Stevie. It's a pleasure to have you, mate. If you could just tell the audience, the viewers and the listeners all about you, who you are as a person, and then we'll dive into the brand exit and everything about brand.
Thank you for having me. And it's good to see you set up. Love this.
Improving each time, I must say. We come out a good time.
Exactly. I'm Stevie Arroyo. I've entered the brand space. I was in tech before, but the way my brain works is that I'm left and right brain. And so
lucky boy, yeah. I'm just limited to one, but yeah.
Well, I was a business development specialist at a creative agency in Australia. And the guy said, "You are the most left and right brain person I've ever seen in my life, but it tears you apart."
Yeah.
And so I tend to be talking to the right brain people about the left brain, and the left brain people about the right brain. And so it's a hard bridge to cross, but that's where I live.
It's good though. It's good. Best of both worlds.
Yeah, man.
So tell the audience about the brand exit. What does the brand exit do? And have the floor, mate.
The brand exit is a brand equity valuation specialist. And basically there's three reasons that you would want to start calculating your brand equity, whether it's for margin growth and trying to get to that kind of, not just revenue, but margin. That's the difference, the quality of earnings. Yeah. That's the point. Investment. So obviously if you can prove that your company is valued higher, then you might get a higher investment for a lower percentage and make, again, that company more efficient in that sense. And the last one and the main one is for exit. It gives you that kind of benchmark, and our slogan is, if you've built a brand, sell the brand.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can, obviously, as you know, my background, I'm a sales side broker, part of me, and obviously acquisitions and all that jazz. So I often, and I work with the industrial industry, construction lane more than anything, and a lot of the time, then businesses don't care about brand. If they have an online presence, that's a bonus. So I wish more people in that sector would get on this train more, because it would uplift their valuation. Because there's so many times that I list companies, or I help some construction businesses exit, and I'm always like, can you just sort out your website at least to make it look like something that wasn't created 10 years ago, because you don't really care about it, because your online presence is so important. Because as soon as people sign NDAs and want to look at that business, they will do a Google search on that business, and they want to see if they look the part and sell the part, how established it is, what they do in their local community, and other things along that line. So
it's one of those things where it's better that everyone doesn't do it, because the people that do it shine.
Yeah, there is that. Yeah.
That is totally, I don't want to serve the entire market, mate, otherwise. And like you said, you work in the kind of these boring industries. So do I. That's where it makes the biggest impact. So when we're talking brand, we're not talking T-shirts, we're not talking hair products, we're not talking chocolate bars. No. That's where it's all at level playing field. And I call it being a lighthouse in a village. Pimlico plumbers, for example. What's the difference between them and a man in a van? Scalability, transferability. Over time, big numbers, people go to them. They sold for 130 million, where the man in the van's waiting for his knees to get shot.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good analogy, that. So with brand, what do you think is the three go-to principles a business should take on board to maximize their brand value?
Well, firstly, it's quantifying it. So getting someone in that actually knows what they're doing, because there's a replacement value to brand equity where you have to spend on marketing, but everyone knows marketing can be one of the biggest drainers of the company.
Yeah.
And so where's your ROI? So firstly, getting that mindset that your brand is an asset. You referred to website and things like that. That's just, so you get external brand and you get internal brand. And the external part is all about touch points.
Yeah.
And again, if we're using your context in the construction industry specifically, it's consistency. So do your vans look the same as your uniforms? How do they speak to the customers? Are they arriving with good news or bad news? Your website, your socials, the lot. So every time you touch, even your invoices.
Yeah. It's all like
Every time
letterheaded and stuff like that.
Yeah. And what it does is it builds a picture.
So going back to the diagnostic or the analysis, like to the starting point, how would you do that for a client? For someone who thinks, oh yeah, I've never thought about that. Obviously, Steve is the man to talk to, which he is. How does he?
The only man to talk to.
So how does he diagnose my business to give me a starting point, like you said, for that?
So first and foremost, you got to find out your strengths, weaknesses, and gaps. So I've got a tech background, and the first thing I did, so my first client ever was a conveyancing company, again in the property industry, boring, doesn't think they need brand. And the audit process took about a week, not just in time, like dates and times, but in actual time that we took to find out everything about it. And I just went, this isn't scalable.
Yeah.
And so what we do as our service is we run our tech to do this brand audit. That's what finds out your strengths, weaknesses, and gaps. And I can tell you, A, if you've got a brand, B, what you need to do on it. So your strengths are, what is it about you that makes you special? What do people cling on to? Because you build on top of that. That's what we use and we elevate. Then you've got your weaknesses. So these can be low-hanging fruit. Saying, for example, easy example is that you've not got a big button that says buy now on your on the top of your website.
Yeah, like your call to actions. And
this isn't expensive. This is just a low-hanging fruit thing that can help you with conversion. Because remember, it all comes back to the numbers. I will not talk to you about your color palette. Forget about that. It's fine. And the way it is, there's a cliff edge. I always say, I use the example of if you're dealing with the public sector, or let's say you're in teaching and ed tech, it's better that you're not using profanity, GIFs, pink and black, flashing webs. You need to build trust, sure, but that's the cliff edge. And then you've got your gaps, so things that you've overlooked. And we just diagnose these, and it's very, very specific to your company because you've been building this for ages. And that's what I want to get across. When you're starting this, you're quantifying the brand value that you've already built. We're not saying you need X amount to get to brand. It's going, what have you already done?
Yeah, and this is where you're at now. It's like it's a diagnostic, isn't it? It's a report of the current status of affairs.
Exactly.
How it presents to a specialist like you are, and you're part of the industry. So so then what would be the options for a business once you've done that from?
So then we go into strategy, and this is a qualifying process. Like I've said in my slogan, if you've built a brand, sell the brand. It's a big if. Not everyone's done it, which is fine. You can build it. There's nothing stopping you, but we tend to work with people that get it. And so after that diagnosis, if you want to move on, we'll go into strategy. And strategy isn't just a list of tactics. It's like we're doing this, then that. It's like, what's our North Star and how do we get there? Luckily in this industry, we know that you want to sell your business one day. The first stage is admitting. A lot of people you hear use it as a badge almost to say, I'll never sell my business. And you go, you ain't got the option.
Well, it's either you either sell it or you obviously you shut it down. So that's your two options.
Exactly. And so it's all it is just being prepared so that you've got optionality. That's it. And so from that strategy, we'll use the initial audit to build that strategy. And then the last part is implementation. So what strategy without implementation? And that's where now we're going into the asset management to say, look, here's the quantified value. Same as any asset manager. What they do is they quantify the asset and then they raise it, they elevate it up to the point where you pull the trigger because now you're actually prepared to sell.
Yeah, that's good. I like that approach. Like, it's just simple because you got to have a starting point to get to the end point. And then I suppose you spend a lot of time with like business owners and CEOs, and it's extrapolating that vision that they have for their business out of their head and then applying it for their business across whatever platform is suitable for them at that point.
Exactly.
You know,
And you've got to think about, so in this industry, obviously there's tangibility and then there's value. Those are the two big kind of words, but then you've also got to think about who your market is. So this is where we separate brand from marketing. Marketing is the action, brand is the asset. You are marketing your brand.
Yeah.
If you stop marketing, marketing stops. If you stopped marketing, your brand compounds, even then through word of mouth or whatever. So there's a real separation between the two. And what you've got to do is then market it to the right people. So who is buying this business? Is it strategic? Is it, you know, what kind of psychology of this buyer type are you leading towards? Because that's going to filter into the strategy to say, look, this is the right kind of area. Here's how we need to position ourselves for that.
That's good. No, I like that a lot. So what kind of businesses what sort of industries do you help the most? Or is it a whole variety?
It's pretty industry agnostic.
Yeah.
However, I just got an affinity for the boring one. I've been in construction, you know, I've been in, these are my people, man. And these are that's where I've started. And even the next client, who was transparently my brother, but he's in the construction industry, you know, all this kind of, all this initial start has been from the boring type industry. So we love those. However,
that's my slogan in business anyway, boring the better, because they're simple.
The backbone of M&A.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's good. So what drove you to get into brand? Is it because you like the storytelling behind it? You just like to help elevate people's business? What brought you to the industry and what drives you? Or just answer the one and then I'll ask you the second. Yeah.
All roads lead back to brand.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's the difference between you and your competitor? Probably nothing. So why are they choosing you over your competitor and paying more for that pleasure? It's your brand, dude. There's something about the connection between, which means that you've even got revenue. Let's just use it as or cash flow. They had to pick you over a competitor. So why? Same as like in the product industry. Okay, so we were the company that I was working for before, a high-end camera technology company. Our brand dictates our next product, because we're not going to be a high-end camera company, then create a low-end product.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Therefore, our brand is, and you can do this all the time. The people that you're that are in the company, they got to fit the brand of the company, don't they? We were talking about that a bit earlier.
Yeah.
So it dictates everything, and it's the starting point, but it's also the cherry on top, because you've got to get the middle right as well. So you do have to get the product right.
Yeah, I think you got to fully understand, like a lot of businesses that I go into advise, the first thing that I always establish after I diagnose it as well is the owner's vision never rings through throughout all tiers of departments or management. And that's the first key thing. And to any business, I always say you need to understand the vision of the owner needs to resonate at every level, right? And like you said, they've all got to understand what the owner wants, what the target is, what the unique selling point is, if you want to go name that term, what the customer types is. Everyone needs to know the entire picture. And then obviously that department that they sit in, they need to understand the remit for their section, because they're part of the cog in the wheel, as I refer to all the time. So brand, I think, goes along with like the vision, the pillars of a company, the ethos. It's side by side with that. So it's very important, but you've got to understand it to then serve it. And then you'll see you can transfer a company around very quickly by just doing that one thing. One with people, which is an internal thing, and then with the brand outset. Like, it's not an instant thing that you can attack and then within 3 months it can be showing an effect. It can take a bit longer, because obviously it takes time to establish and start again building brands. Even if I've seen businesses been sat there, they're like second generation, all 20, 30-year-old businesses, always been word of mouth, and then they try sales and marketing, they bring one person in, and then after Q1 of them being in the business, they're like, yeah, it's not really doing anything. It's like, well, you got to give it time, man. Like, you got to let it build up. You got to let it like mature and compound, you know?
Well, the reason I mentioned earlier, and it was one of the reasons, again, that when I was setting up the company, was that we're not just measuring the future value. We're measuring what you've already done.
Yeah.
I
think that's the main bit you need to do, because with that diagnostic of that section, you'll understand the ROI of a customer, and obviously you need to understand, to move forward, how to serve the customer as a whole in the ecosystem for that business. And the brand helps that, you know, it helps get that story out. It helps build case studies, consistency. It builds rapport without you having to put a sale in front of someone. You know, like you said, a person now, they say, needs like, I don't know, I think I've seen it 6 to 8 touch points before they're comfortable and they proceed with a transaction with someone. So a brand can hit half of that, possibly, you know, just by being on socials and having a good website and having a decent website. So that's why it's important to a lot of businesses. And I think it is underachieved in a lot of ways, I see, or it's then done generically.
Yeah. This isn't a problem to me. It's all about brand is deciding, we're for you, we're not for you, we're not for you, we're not for you, we're not for you. And that's a really important distinction, because now you're trying to find your highest caliber customer. You know, it's about efficiencies. This all comes back to efficiencies at the end of the day. The organic reach, for example, the word, like you said, they've been going 20 years through word of mouth. You've built a brand. If you've been going 20 years, you've built a brand.
Yeah, you're just not like I see what a lot of you do as showcasing, right? As in you're just blowing your own trumpet, and the English person and the industry types that I tend to deal with, they don't like to do that in the public eye, right? Because they're of that nature and that era where it's like, oh no, I don't want to rub it in people's faces and things like that. But people you're trying to sell to need to see what you're capable of as well. So it's like, it's a fine line that a certain era of business owner runs along.
It's being the best version of yourself.
But younger generation business owners now, they're all for like sales and then brand way before they do internal processes, you know, so they can look the part, but their internal process and back end might be a bit shaky, and you just hope that can come up to speed with the front end.
Yeah, well, that's because they're young, and loads of companies have to work it out bottom up. But especially with the younger generations, they don't even refer to them as businesses anymore. They refer to them as brands.
Yeah, they say that about everything now. You got to build a brand. You got to build an ecosystem. It's all about, because we're going into the era of AI and no one can trust what everyone's putting online now. So it's all about putting a face to the company, which reverts to a brand, you know.
All roads lead back to brand.
You know, and it's like, that's why obviously the acquisition collective, like this, for example, the acquisition collective was created for an in-person networking event, and it's evolved into these one-on-one sit-downs for me to build the brand and establish the room more. Obviously, I get to enjoy it as well, because I get to sit down with great people like yourself and other professionals within the industry, but we get to showcase, obviously, your skill set to people who might not know it. And if they want to come to a room, they can decide. If not, they can just watch you online. So it's forever evolving, and I think you do need a brand to maximize it. Well, that's in all industries now.
And this is the point, is that so you heard of casinos, the reason that they win is because of that 00. So over big numbers, over time, if you've got 51% to 49% over time, that's how casinos make their money. So
compounds over time.
Yeah.
So it's guaranteed to.
And so if there's a 2% difference between choosing me or you, I've got a brand that is trusted. I'm through word of mouth, etc.
Yeah.
All right, I might not win with you with this one, but you do that over 100 or 1,000 people. If I'm 51% of it,
you're up.
You're taking up. You're a casino. You're the house. And you mentioned AI there. AI has made it so that industries are disrupted and markets are flooded.
Yeah.
And so exactly, who do you trust?
I trust that. So if I'm looking for a carpenter, right, and I'll go online, I'll start looking at carpenters. One, I want to see a showcase of their work for a start, and I want to make sure that it's that person doing that work, so that they're in the picture as well, and it's not someone else's photo, right? But that's just my search criteria for someone's capabilities, and I will always go to personal referrals network first. But if I have to go for a raw search, as I call it, like just a Google search or something, I will always want a face to a name. I will always want case studies. I will always want that. And yeah, I know where to look for that. But that's just my search criteria.
You're touching on exactly a very modern way because there's so many options. People are doing it in a way that's not this kind of linear funnel. It's not like this first touch point and then they go on to the next part, and they go from awareness to perception, etc. Although that is the underlined foundation of it, but their buyer flows are actually much more sporadic now. They need to have seen you again. Like you said, you might check Google first.
Yep.
You might check an LLM. They say a different thing. You might go on to knowing it's your neighbor, and then you might ask a friend.
Yeah.
And so you've got to build this picture. And if you can hit those, like I mentioned, touch points.
Yep.
And what you said, you're bang on. You need about 6 of them at least to go, right, I get it. Then you take your time.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
It'll be the same with this podcast. This translates to everything. The amount of people watching this will not directly correlate to how many views you get. But with consistency over time, they'll start to subscribe, because the saying is they've seen you the first time once they've seen you the 11th time.
Okay.
And that's why you need to be out there. Otherwise, if you're piddling around with 2 or 3, maybe a referral here and there because it's someone's niece or nephew, it's not enough anymore.
But it's like, for example, like my mum last weekend, she wants to get her bathroom done, right? Went to Wix, too much, so she wants to go to someone else. So she goes, her best friends recommended this builder, right, local to her. She's like, yeah, they've done some work in their daughter's house. All right, cool. First thing I do, I look at Google, Yale.com, Checker Trader, Instagram, Facebook, and then because I am who I am, I check company's house, and I'm like, so I do all of that. You know what I mean? And like you said, by the time I get to sufficiently, I'm probably at 8 checkpoints just to make sure that they're legit for a start.
There you go. Consistency in touch points.
Yeah.
That's how you get the customers.
Yeah. So that's why I say to clients, when I'm like in my advisory role, I say you need to obviously be aware of these touch points, and you need to be visible from all of these angles that a customer now does, you know. So you might be sporadically on Facebook. Great. Okay, that's suitable for a certain type of business. But you need to have a functioning website. You need to be on Instagram. If you want to do the TikTok thing, you might want to do the TikTok thing. But if you want to do all 4 of them, you probably have your business of a certain size where you need someone to do that full time.
That's where strategy comes in.
Yeah.
So you can't do everything. You need to be efficient in what you do. So what's the highest conversion? If your customers are not on TikTok, do not use TikTok.
No, I don't often recommend TikTok, but obviously my go-to for advertising their business is LinkedIn, website, and then probably like Yale.com, something like that. Them sort of free, legit looking things. Obviously Yale.com is absolute garbage. I'm not going to, that's trash. But a certain age of demographic see that as legit, you know, like certain people over the age of 50 think, the yellow page has gone online. If they're in there, then they're legit.
You just said one of the biggest words. And there's 2 of them. It's demographics.
Yeah.
And then psychographics.
Yeah.
How does this person think? You know, that's what you're really trying to position yourself.
It all reverts back to is understanding your customer and what customer you serve. That's what it comes down to, understanding them, how to sell to them, and then understanding how they buy and how they view to make a transaction with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's half of it is common sense, but then again, it's not a lot of people's speciality. So you might want another professional such as yourself to explain that to them and help them establish that within their business.
Exactly. What you're trying to do is you're trying to find the minimum viable market. So who are the hardcore people that really want your service? Because they're going to be the ones that, like I said, pay more for your service and therefore make your quality of earnings better, which means you can reinvest in the company and become bigger.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like my first acquisition was a main contractor, right? So when I had that, I took it as a word of mouth residential main contractor. It was doing 7 figures, but I took it to nearly just under 8 figures within 4 years because I understood who to go out and do the sales to. So I knew that I just had to go out to commercial quantity surveyors or commercial directors and architects. They was the 2 gatekeepers of the sort of clientele that I wanted to get in front of. So I literally attacked them relentlessly. I built rapport with them and then I was able to showcase the works because they had a massive back catalogue, because I inherited a very good build team of that company. It was like 20 years old, no website, no nothing. It was like a hidden gem that I inherited, so I was very lucky. So I just pulled all of their own images and stuff from over the years and made brochures, went around in person, done it the old-fashioned way with architects, because architects like to be given like nice fancy brochures to relate to. They like samples and things like this because an architect's a certain type of person. And then architects are like very particular people. So they're very like, you have to build rapport with them. It's not like you can just ring them up, sell something, and then they're commit. No, they're very slow burn. You need to be consistency. Like I had a monthly round where I would go dropping cakes. Like it was that sort of relationship. And 85% of them I'd never get anything out of, or anything will come back. But still to this day, I still get calls. Like I exited that business like 2 years ago, and I did for like 4-ish years. I still get calls saying, "Oh, can you do this work for me?" It's like, well, I'm out of the business now. I am a like sort of board advisor chair to that company because of the exit strategy. But it's like they can do the work, but I'm not there. But they still come to me, But that's because that I call it that attack type suits that industry, Whereas I've had other subcontracting businesses where all you need to do is be with like commercial directors, like senior commercial people within tier 1 house builders, for example. That's a completely different, that's email sales consistently, and then you just get on tender lists from there. That's very simple in my eyes. Whereas I've never been in a business that's B2C, for example, so which I can imagine is very difficult. I've advised a couple of clients in the B2C sector, and I've never really lasted more than 3 months because it's not my bag, and it's a whole different skill set you need for B2C.
It's higher risks, and yeah, you're absolutely right. And we're similar in that aspect. You mentioned buying a hidden gem. Let's talk buy side. That is one of the main strategies that is another string to the bow of a buyer, is identify a company that's not, 2 ways, either hasn't built a brand but is doing well, and then build the brand after post-exit, up the numbers, sell it. Or you've got one that's a good brand but they haven't quantified the brand value. Buy that thing, then quantify.
So what I do in my personal search for businesses, right? I shouldn't really say this, but I'm not afraid of it. So when I look for a business and, I establish a connection with a potential target business, that I want to talk to, open up a line of communication with the buyer. Are you interested? Yes, I want to have a chat. Go and have a chat with him or her. For example, my businesses I buy in are construction, engineering, manufacturing, or service-based businesses, B2B. That's my bag. If they don't have a website or a very shit one that hasn't been touched in 10 years, then in my eyes, I'm like golden nugget, because obviously that devalues my offer. But in my head, I know how to flick that switch on very quickly, right? So that's a bonus point.
Yeah.
The businesses, 80% tend to have poor commercial reporting procedures within that business. I know how to do that at a flick of a switch, so that devalues the offer, but it's a bonus point for post-acquisition. So it's things like that. They might look like I know some people teaching M&A or advising on M&A, and they're like, oh, if it doesn't have a website or a social presence, along with a few other bits, don't touch it, walk away. And it's like, well, these are simple things to turn on, and they're not like, you can't do that. Because I look at businesses that are at least 10 years old. If you went to a business that had at least 10 years or 20 years, for example, not a good website, I bet you it would have a case study or photos of at least 100 things you could showcase with a new website implemented. And then you could create brochures or online brochures to help drop one salesperson in there, and you could switch on instantly.
Exactly.
And that's without the existing word of mouth as well. And then you can lean into that as well. So theoretically, sales and marketing, I don't think is difficult. Me personally, in my businesses, I can't sell. I'm not a salesman because I'm a bit awkward and standoffish until I get to know someone, and then it's fine. But that initial thing, like, I can't hit the phones all day, right? I've tried it. I'm not very good at it, if I'm honest, but it's a skill in itself, I think. Like, I'm more operationally, and I can strategically look at a business and look ahead. I've always been taught to forecast and look in the front, and obviously build the steps out, right? Because that's my skill set, is project management and building to an end goal that we set. But sales and marketing, theoretically, I know how it all works, and I can put the right person in place, but I can't do it because that's not my bag. So, but yeah, each their own, like selling takes a certain amount of patience, and I don't have that patience ticket in my head because it just runs too fast to focus on one thing at a time.
It's important. You said your real strategy for buying, because this is what I warn sellers, and for context, my heart is on the sell side, sure, but my head is on the buy side too, because sometimes what I found, especially when I was studying the industry, going from a third perspective, I was going, there's a knowledge gap here, and these are trained professionals. And so these guys need to, but some of them don't want to understand the knowledge gap and sell just as is. And it's like, this is what happens after, is that something that you could have easily implemented 2 years beforehand would have meant that you finished, let's say you've been doing this company for 40 years. For the last 5 years, get this ready for sale.
It's
like, finish well.
It's like with sell-side advisory clients, I say, if you want to maximize your sale, you need 3 clear years of good financial reporting, your house in order, middle management, systems and processes. And then, like, in that, say you got 3-year run to your exit date that you've implemented, put a brand strategy in that, or at least establish it and say, right, we're going to do this for year 1, this for year 2, or this for year 3, or just be consistent for all 3 years. Say we're going to gather all this content from in-house at the end of each month, and then the following month we're going to pull it out, and then do it that way, and then that will compound over time, and you'll get a whole new demographic of customer coming to you.
Yeah, and then because those customers are coming to you, again, one of our kind of sayings is, without demand, nothing else matters.
Yeah.
So if you aren't getting the customers in, and if they're not, like, whether it's outreach, whether it's paid ads, whether it's organic, whatever, then you've not got a business. And therefore, how, you see what I mean? Like, then, so that's the customer side of things. And then it's selling your product. Selling your product is exactly the same as selling to buyers. Like, without demand, nothing else matters.
Yeah.
We all know that the real estate fallacy, where people are over valuing companies. So, okay, let's say you're 1 million EBITDA and your industry does 5 million, and your broker says this is worth 10 million, and no one buys it. Well, good luck. Do you see what I mean? But if you've got the numbers, and you create the demand, now you've got options. Now you've got competitive tension.
Yeah. So say you're firing on all cylinders. You're in the perfect situation to sell your company, right? Someone will give you a maximum valuation or pay you more than what it's worth for that, or someone will come along who's bigger than you and swallow you up just to kill you, or a bigger person will come up just to take your strategy and then bolt you into theirs.
Because you've created the demand within the units.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
You've positioned it.
Yeah.
The example I always use is if we had Princess Diana's sapphire ring, yeah. And this is where I go back to where I mentioned tangibility and valuation. They are not the same thing. So we've got Princess Diana's sapphire ring. We get it valued. Our local jeweler, don't tell them nothing about it. They go, decent sapphire, 50 grand. If we put that thing on Facebook Marketplace, 50 quid. We put that thing in a Sotheby's auction, 50 million.
Yeah.
Same product, different positioning.
Yeah, because you're putting it in the correct market.
Because you've created demand. That's what you've done. And so at the end of the day, we were talking about Paul Gianimo earlier. His whole thing, when you get into the investment bank section of the industry, is that you're creating a subjective concept around who wants to buy it and positioning it. And you can start doing different types of auctions, whether it's Dutch, American, or English auction, depending on which is best. It goes into it. You need a strategy for all this, you know, because of that knowledge gap as a seller. And again, my heart is on the sell side because you're the one that built this company. We both know how hard it is to start a company and to get through and to break through that barrier and to go, right, you know, I'm in. And
I know a few owners who've done that for decades and they're still not there, but yeah.
Well, it depends. There you go. They're probably in the race to the bottom because they're probably competing on price and they're selling to the wrong people, wasting marketing spend, for example.
A lot of business owners that I come and talk to, it's like I can help people within a short space of time on paper, like 1 to 2 months. I can give them some advice and if they implement it, they can get somewhere, right? But a lot of it is down to once you get a business owner, they get into a mindset and they either have trust issues or they just can't accept help.
Good luck.
You know? And that's why I think the new generation of entrepreneur is open to having advisors, having board members around them, being a part of masterminds to help them on that journey. Whereas the older generation of business owner, which I deal with a lot of the time as well, they're very rigid, they're very stuck in their ways, they got a lot of ego and pride, and that's limited them. And that's why a lot of them, when they sell to the younger generation of entrepreneur who acquire their business, they get very jealous of them because they take that business that they've had for 20 years and built and they take it to a next level within like 2 years or something like that, for example. And you can just tell in that business, that seller's eyes, that as much as he's happy for that business, he's jealous. He or she, sorry. So, yeah, it's a mix. But I think that's a generational approach as well.
I'm originally from Colombia, so I've got a certain separation, and which is valuable. Same way I had the separation from the M&A industry. I remember someone telling me to do a course on M&A. I was like, that's not how innovation's done. Jesus.
Just talk. Courses are good in a certain instant. Oh yeah, but just talk to professionals in and around the space.
So with England, we're notorious for, or the UK, we're notorious for that exact kind of mindset. But we don't quite realize, we all realize it's just difficult in practice, I know. But economies are built on transactions. So like you said, building a team of specialists, and that's what actually drew me into M&A, was that you've got all these different people trying to support a business to finish the most important transaction of their life. And I don't talk about legal stuff. I don't talk about accounting. You don't tend to talk about brand, I suppose. And I don't tend to talk about the structuring of deals that brokers do. That's why you build these teams.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? And I'm going,
it's a conveyor belt. It's a cog and a wheel, and you all need to be a part of that wheel and do your bit.
Yeah, and you have to trust the people who are there to do their job.
It's like I say to anyone in business, you always need to have that end goal set and to all be on the same page as to what your part of the process is to get there.
And that's the beauty of the Acquisition Collective. That's why those events are so valuable to so many people, is that it's these people coming together. Then you ring each other after. you know, that.
Yeah, because the acquisition, the events, for anybody who doesn't know, that's where this has started from. So it's just a room for people in and around the space of M&A or acquisitions or entrepreneurs and aspiring people who want to inquire in the business. It's not a corporate room, yeah. It's an evening event held in a London hotel now, and it's for people to come and just get to talk to one another, get to know each other, and to learn about the industry the right way. I'm not selling the course to anyone. There's no other sale. It's just to get real people in the industry to get to know each other, to help each other if they can. And then I just get a couple of keynote speakers, different ones each time, just to bring a bit of topical conversation and to break it up. So it's not just an awkward come into a room and talk. And then we get open audience mic passed around for Q&A and pitching.
He's holding back. For anyone listening, he's holding back to avoid the shameless plug. This is the best event out there, and I'll tell you my reason for saying that and being so bold. And it's the word of mouth. There's another definition of brand. What do the people say about you when you're not in the room? I'm out there saying you need to come to the Acquisition Collective. I've got people connecting with me on LinkedIn, and when I started going to these events in London, like that person that told me to do a course, and this kind of, I just felt like this was weird. I was like, okay, I won't, maybe central London isn't the exactly best place. So I looked for something out of there.
It's very corporate though, yeah.
And I found the Acquisition Collective first event. The first thing I saw was you and Charlie Norton, and you offered me a bit. And I was like, these are my people.
Yeah, because it's not a corporate room. Like exactly. I would say I'm getting more people from private equity and sophisticated alternative private equity, and a few family offices start to come into the room, but I think that's more where it's located and it's building. But the room is built for real people in the industry. I'd probably say it's aimed at people 0 to 20 million, people buying businesses and stuff, and a lot of professionals around the space, right? So a lot of legals, finance, brokers and things like that. But you still get entrepreneurs and people to learn from in the room, which is good. Obviously, the first 4 events were held up the road from my house in Bicester in Oxfordshire, where I reside. But now they're held in central London because I got so many people travelling in. It was like 85% people travelling in. And then I got so much outreach saying, if you come to London, I'll come there. And that's why it's now held in London for that.
And there you go. So this is the perfect case study for building a brand. You've been a specialist in your industry, you've bought and sold businesses, you've built them up, etc. Then what you did was you created the Acquisition Collective based on your own positioning, and then what the people that connected like with that type of ethos, such as me, then came. I started spreading the word. These events get bigger. You started to get sponsors now. Now you've got a contact list.
I only took sponsors on, right, because obviously it's an independent event for a start, and obviously venues cost money, and it was just ticket sales paying for venues, right? So because ticket sales kept going up a bit too much than I would have liked, that's why I brought sponsors on. And the sponsors I bring on are people I've worked with that I can recommend, that I would recommend to anyone in the space, for example. So it's not like I'm just going to the highest bidder and saying, sponsor my event. It's people I know, like, and trust. So like one person like Ray Dolben of Mudup, like a brilliant M&A lawyer who I'd recommend to anyone in the world. Like he's even been on this podcast. So like he's a sponsor. Like Andy Redmond from ABL Finance, like he's good in his field. I know clients who've used him. I haven't used him personally, but I don't use funding for my acquisitions. But I know he's been in deals that we've been involved with. And then Laura Tutt, who's a really good, is it a Fable? Oh, I should know this, bless her. She's a very good M&A HR professional, or she's going to sponsor the upcoming one, right? Because obviously the other one, I used my brokerage to sponsor it because I needed 3 sponsors. So I selfishly had to plug that gap, but she's knocked me off that list now, which is fine. That's what I wanted to do because I didn't want it, because I don't want people to think that this event feeds into my brokerage, because it doesn't. But this was created because I was not part retired. I was obviously just doing consultancy work, which the brokerage does. And the wife, apparently I kept moaning to the wife about there not being a suitable event, and she challenged me to create it, and then she kept prodding me, so I created it, and it's just simply evolved from there, and it's evolved into better rooms, better people, better keynote speakers.
It compounds.
It's just getting better and better. Like, I don't mean to like it's getting better each time, man. I don't care what people say.
Because you built a brand from the start, it's compounded, and now you've got the lists of people. Now you're building this podcast.
Yeah,
and
like this is an extension of that. Just because I wanted to start a room just to meet, because I like talking to people in the space, like the real part of the space, not the corporate-y Ponzi side. I wanted to speak to real people, right?
Yeah.
And then this is just this is a great excuse for me to talk to people on a one-on-one basis, and hopefully the viewers or listeners, there's some aspiring people who are scared to get into space, and they think, all right, brand guy, I've got lawyers, I've got broke commercial lenders on here, I've got entrepreneurs coming on. Hopefully they can, us just talking, for example, people can just, like the golden nuggets that we just talk about normally, someone not in the space can learn loads of stuff from. And if you don't like it, you don't have to carry on.
There you go. It's not for you. If it's not for you, cool. This is for us.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah. And it's good. It's good fun. And then, like I've always said, I'm not going to sell a course, but the only thing I've had feedback from and that I'm going to introduce in the first trials in June is the workshop. So it's an in-person workshop, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to trial that in June, which should be the day before the June event in the Chamberlain Hotel. And then I will see how that goes and then see if I want to opt into that. So then the Acquisition Collective in the last year or so has evolved, and it'll be an events podcast and a potentially in-person workshop thing. But the workshop is literally to give people the real advice from real professionals. It won't just be me bleating at people for a day. It'll be broken down into a four-step day, and on at least 2 of the sections, if not 3, I'm waiting on a response and confirmation from someone. I will leverage other professionals in this space to come and give us an hour section, like a talk on that part of the journey. And then you can ask that professional that question all you want in that time. So it's more of a one-on-one. It's like it'll be a room of like 10, 15, I hope. Waiting list is on the website now. I currently have a few people on it, and I haven't even mentioned it online or anything before this. And by the time this comes out, it probably would have been launched, maybe. I don't know.
Plug it, man.
Yeah.
There's no shame in that. That's what's holding people back. Is like we mentioned that earlier about.
But I'm not afraid to plug it because I know the reason behind it is like pure. I'm not here to upsell or anything like that. I'm just here because there's too many stupid course sellers out there who give the wrong advice, and I just want people to have the right advice. And if not, then don't come.
Yeah. Every brand needs to be the hero against the villain. If you can position yourselves against, like mine is the standard. My villain is the transactional standard for M&A. I'm thinking, what? So these guys build their whole careers, their whole businesses. They build these brands, then it gets just reduced down to an industry standard. And well, come on, we've got to think about what assets you've actually built.
Yeah, what do you want to do? Don't just do what everyone else does.
Yeah, if you've built a brand, sell the brand. Like that's the point. And so that's where it's...
The brand is part of the company or the business. So if you're going to sell the business, you're going to sell the brand with it. It's not like you're going to keep the brand, is it?
No, exactly. And at the moment, it's goodwill, but goodwill, I don't know, it's a bit flimsy. It sounds a bit flimsy to me. It's like a tip. I used to work in bars, mate. I refused tips. Yeah. Fuck that. Yeah. No, you don't need to tip me.
It's like back in the day when I was, because I was a site manager, project manager for like tier 1 house builders. And in that time, you used to always get pressured, right? Because you was heavily incentivized to reach your number of plots to build. And then, if you get your plots, then you get a bonus, right? And it's like, I remember on 2 occasions, the man who taught me everything I know, right? And I love him to death. I love him so much. I named my son after him. Not first name, middle name. but he
Stevie.
no, but he said never take a bun. You don't. No, another thing he said is bonus. I don't work for a bonus. I give my all for my salary, and that resonated with me. It's like I don't have to work for a bonus. You don't have to dangle a carrot for me. I'll give my all for my salary, and that's what you should do because that's the right thing to do. And if a bonus comes, it's a bonus. So I remember like a visiting team of directors, right? I was very advanced for my age in the site management world. I was a site manager, 24. So obviously, when you're a site manager, you get a monthly visit from like your directors. You have to walk around site and run them through like site progress, run them through your site, your cleanliness, you basically get spot checked once a month by your directors. And a lot of people were like very like scared of directors. They would just bow down and whatnot. And I've always just been myself, right? And I'm not blunt and rude, but I'm very honest. I am what I am. What I say to the person down the road, I would say to my boss, right? I've always been respectful. And I just remember the contracts manager or the construction director said one thing is like, yeah, but if you don't get these plots handed over on time, then you're not going to get your bonus. And I just openly said in front of everyone, I said, yeah, but regardless, I said, I don't work for a bonus, I work for a salary. And I said, you're going to get these plots anyway. So stop dangling carrots in front of me.
Yeah.
And that ruffled some people up the wrong way, but also at the same time, certain people respected it because they knew that obviously I'm not incentivized by a bonus. Like I don't work hard for X amount of time and then I'm lazy for the rest of it. I show up consistently and do the job I'm supposed to. And that's what I do for my clients as well. Exactly. Like it's just one thing I say to people, you got to get up each day and just be consistent. You know, you got to get up and go again, get up, go again. You got to have that resilience about you. And that's what I'll say to any person looking to be a business owner or entrepreneur. It can be a very lonely space, but as long as you know what the end goal is, right? If you don't know the end goal, get it written down or get some sort of scenario where that's done, and you get up each day and you go again, and that will compound over time and you'll hit your goal.
You get what you deserve. And so when you're going into the preparation for sale, you go in, am I willfully blind in following what the current status is that's not necessarily built for me? Because remember, it's the buy side that the M&A industry is primarily built for. And so did you do your own research? Did you understand what was out there? Did you take not the chance, I don't want to describe it as a chance. Did you deserve what you got once you've sold it?
Yeah.
And you look back.
But then when I look at some transactions that I've overseen for clients, a lot of it comes down to like some of them think, they didn't get what they was deserved. And what dictates that is current market value, current market appetite, which is sort of 2 in 1. And then, you negotiate your own sale.
Well, these are I love the analogy of it works in so many different ways. So when you start talking about market and things like that, there's a good saying that's, do ants worry about the footsteps of elephants? So the elephants are your political things, your market shifts, your geopolitics, your did it rain today on your wedding? You know, these are the elephants. These are the elephant steps. But doesn't ant worry about them? No, it keeps working. Yeah, it builds the fort to fight the rain, the elephant steps or whatever. And so you go in, although these things can dictate your ultimate price, and no, the other thing is that you can think all you want that you want to sell for 10 times EBITDA, sure, but you'll never sell. Fine. So there's a midpoint there where this is what I'm trying to get across, is that collect your assets and prove them. So the process that we go through for proving your brand as an asset, this isn't new. There's an international ISO standard, 10668, since 2010, except it's not being implemented. That to me was like...
Yeah, see, I didn't even know that, only from previous conversations that we've had. I learned that.
Monetary brand valuation. And if you've built it, I can go through the process.
But that's good though. You can literally work it out and present that to a company. And then if you put that in a pack to sell, it's up.
Our name's on it. This is certified.
Yeah.
This is
ISO standard.
Yeah, ISO standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, international. Well, not all ISO standards are international neither.
Yeah.
Same as, like, for example, we've been talking a lot about the current and the modern. Modern M&A and modern business is all about collecting often digital assets. So Dan Priestley's book, The 24 Assets, brand is second on that list.
Yeah.
And so you go in, and it's not currently. I don't want it to be standard, like I've mentioned. However, I do want the people who have built a brand to make sure that when they look back, they made sure they got every piece, or they quantified it at least.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're going into a negotiation as well. Better come. Don't bring wood to a gunfight either.
Yeah, but even if you look at businesses that have exponentially, like, quick growth, 9 times out of 10 is because of a good personal brand. You know, it's like,
The personal brand's non-transferable.
no, but it's a good starting point,
Yeah.
and then it has to be transferred over. It's, for example, like our friend Charlie Norton of Amos, right, who's another sell-side broker. Brilliant. Like, he's been in business 2 years now. Yeah. I think 2 years, like a couple of weeks ago. And he has built that business personally with a personal brand to a point, and he's stepped off of it, and he's now like a chairman role in that business. And it's a fully functioning brokerage. It is fun. Charlie's been on this podcast. I need to get him on again, really, because I think he could have been better. We talk all the time anyway, so he'll be on again. But what he's done for that business, for example, is really good, because he'd done it all personally and then handed it over. So he was a all-in operator. Now he's not. And he stepped in, he's looked at the whole ecosystem, and he's built that out, and he's adding people in now. He's got, like, sales director, he's got interns, he's got obviously a COO. Yeah, COO, Peter is for him. He's got, like, admin sorted for him. So he's not day-to-day in that business now. And that's taken 2 years. Hard work, don't get me wrong. I know his struggles and what to get to that point. But now he's at a point where it's like, yeah. And that's he's done millions in transactions.
Exactly. And he said on mine, you can use on my podcast, you can use the personal brand to help build it, of course.
Yeah.
But then it has to stand on its own 2 feet. You actually need to dive as far away from it as you possibly can.
Yeah.
In the end, because
in that 2 year time frame, he's even diversified and created his own platform called True Value, right? I use that in my business. It's that good. And because I know it's created by a fellow, like, modern age broker, and I can use that in my workflow. So, yeah, and it's not that expensive. So it's a fair price, rather than all these other softwares out there that I should be using, but I refuse to pay for, because the size of my business at the point it is doesn't warrant it.
And there you go. So he's built products that run without him.
Yeah.
Intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key.
But that software he's created is part of his ecosystem, because he initially created that as a valuation tool, and it's evolved into a platform for his valuation, its deal flow, its CRM, and it's currently getting updated, and it's becoming its own fucking beast, mate. It's brilliant. But he created that just because he wanted a valuation tool, and it's just evolved. And that was at the same time as running his business. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it's a balance. The products at the end of the day are what the proof in the pudding. I always say that marketing tells you which doors to knock on, brand gets you through the door, and product makes you stay for dinner.
That's a good. I like that. I have to nick that.
You ain't staying for dinner unless you get through the door. And yeah.
But again, each one has the touch points to get you in the door for dinner.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's all this kind of, what you're doing is you're building effectively a rapport with your customer, because then there's the next part. So let's say you've created a mini electric product, and the world loves it. Yeah, China's on that. They're going to copy that real quick. And
mate.
Yeah. And so
even if you patent it, it don't matter.
Yeah,
China
forget about it. And so what you need to do is also build a product portfolio, because now you've used the perfect word. You've created an ecosystem.
I always use the
term. And your customers live in your ecosystem. And although it's not that I've got a problem with it, because people willingly sign up to the Apple ecosystem. But once you're in there, you're locked, brother.
Yeah, you're either in or you're out.
Yeah, yeah. And there you go. They're the biggest example of brand. Another thing that you mentioned earlier, sorry, I've got cogs in my head. When you said when you buy a business, you're buying the brand. Are you? So if you said
It depends the size of business. If it's a personal brand, then no, you're not buying it. You don't need it.
Well, yeah, it's non-transferable. That's the biggest. That's the biggest problem with even selling your business if it's too reliant on the owner. But what I'm saying is let's say, for example, you're buying the brand exit, and you say, "I want your customer base. I want your tech. I want your vans, but I don't want the brand." Good luck.
Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah.
Good luck carrying on my cash flow for the exact reason you're buying it without my brand. And therefore, if you do not want my brand and I go and sell it to a competitor, you're double fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you've just put the risk
because I know a lot of people buy brands up just for client lists or to shut them down.
Yeah.
Like it's that powerful.
Exactly. It's the heart of the business. Using the Apple example.
Like you say, because brand is the ethos of the business. It's that like strategic high level.
It's internal and external. If we were buying Apple, we said to Apple, we don't want to buy the brand. A, they'll laugh at you. B, and say, well, not for you. I've got, like we said, create demand. I've got 10 other people wanting to buy Apple. So if you don't want to buy this, then it's like buying a remote, a TV and saying, I don't want the remote. It's like, what? And then let's say, for example, we bought it without the brand, then we're just a phone company.
Yeah.
We're just a phone company. And ask Nokia how they're doing. And so, and then what happens is you didn't buy my brand. Well, you need to take everything of my brand off of your company. If you're not going to buy the brand, take it off the products. In the company, we designed our own PCB circuit boards, and they were imprinted on those. Redesign those. Let's say you've got a podcast and it says it on there. Re-edit those. Everything. The replacement value of having to build up.
It's dead.
To the same thing. And then if I sold that as an asset to Samsung, you're irrelevant, dude. And the competition just got way, way hotter.
Yeah.
And so there you go. If it's that kind of catch-22. However, if you did buy the brand, let's say Apple, it will continue to compound. And then let's say in 10 years you want to sell Apple again, the asset you bought for Apple, $1 billion, is now worth 10 billion.
Yeah.
So you've just made a 10x investment on that asset. We're dealing with assets here. That's why I'm not going too far into, websites or social media or SOPs and this and that, because it's all of those things.
It's a collective, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's an asset at the end of the day. And once you start managing the asset, you've got to increase the value on that. And why are you increasing the value on that? Same with the property.
Yeah, I think it's got to evolve over time as well, isn't it? Because like I said, you can have a strategy for a 12-month period, but the following year, obviously, that could be maximised or in control to carry on that avenue, and you just evolve into another avenue.
Let me give you another example that's very relatable. Personal one again. So my Auntie Anne, my great aunt, her house was part of the arts and crafts movement in architecture. It's an architectural style. And when she sold it, she had the nearest estate agent go around with a clipboard going, this is what I mean about getting sucked into standard processes. 3 bathrooms, X amount of feet.
They do it on square footage, don't they?
Come on. Now, if you're out, and by the way, there was a 200-year-old willow tree outside the front, something that you can never replace. And basically they sold it. I think it was like 360,000. And I remember thinking, as I was watching that tree get cut down, I was thinking, yeah, I know.
Well, it didn't have a teepee on it.
My grandma's house is 2 doors down, so we were watching it from the back watch that thing get cut down, the soul of this house.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, you got the wrong person in. If you'd found a buyer of the arts and crafts movement houses, you could have sold it for 500. And we keep we talk in this industry about legacy. This is how you keep your legacy.
It's always about finding the right buyer for your business, which is when I sit down with people who want to sell their business, obviously initial conversation revolves around what sort of buyer do you want Do you want private equity, alternative private equity, a trade buyer? Do you want someone, a serial buy and builder, search funder, someone who's going to come and rip your company apart? Or do you want a long-term holdco sort of buyer, you know, who will keep your people, keep it where it is and just organically, slowly build on it? Yeah? Yeah, I want that. Okay, well, just so you know, you won't get as a big offer as the other options. So you need to weigh that up, right? Because they will come in and give you a better offer, but I can't guarantee you they won't strip the back end of your business out and fold it into theirs, get rid of 40% of your staff and all that. I can't guarantee that.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one, we can't guarantee it with anyone, but with the long-term holdco or sort of strategic long-term acquirer, you might be more enticed. They might be more enticed to keep the people, keep it as it is. Make some changes, of course, because that's inevitable, but it will stay more or less what it is.
Well, it's theirs now, and there's always that period post-acquisition. It's very rare to get someone just go, here's the full value, go on holiday, lad.
Yeah.
And so who are you actually getting into bed with for the next 3 years? Because, and this is again, people don't think about it. They go, I want to retire now. I'm going to sell my business. You still got 3 to 5 years working in this business as a transition held towards.
Well, no, not all exits are like that.
Not all, of course.
Yeah.
But a lot of, so if we're going to, so the way buyers de-risk the acquisition is through earnouts. You know, if we're going to pay for this projection, then you need to achieve this projection.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
a lot of every entrepreneur, business owner that has gone for an earnout, 90% of them have said, I wish I'd never done the earnout.
Yeah.
Do you know that? Because they just can't handle answering to someone or being held to do a certain thing or be in the office on someone else's time. They just can't do it and they hate it.
And so that optionality, what does that come back to? Like I've said about 4 times, without demand, nothing else matters because someone who's buying it might only be offering the earnout.
Yeah.
And therefore you've got no choice, bro.
It's like my contractor that I exited on. That business model, right? My first acquisition that I made, the business model of that industry is rubbish. So you don't have no cash flow. Payment cycles like 90 days, which is absurd.
Yeah.
Obviously, hardly anyone pays on time, so it's always longer, right? So even with building up 2 years worth of run rate on cash, it always sucked. You never get any money in the business, right? So that's why in main contractors, they're not very appealing to the acquirer, right? Unless a big one, a fellow one bigger wants to suck you up, or they were. But so my exit options were limited. Internal buyer, right? That's the only way I could exit that business. Mm-hmm. And because I was the age I am, I could take a 10-year payment. So I got offered a traditional transaction offer, for example, like I think they offered me 70% day one and then the rest over 3 years of deferred. I know that business couldn't pay that back and sustain the current trajectory it was on because it was on a good trajectory, right? So I said no. And it was like a 3 multiple, right? Which is fair in that sector. It was a decent offer, right? But I know I wouldn't have got my earnout because because it was the internal contracts managers grouped together with a private investor to come and take it on. And I thought, even if I carried on being an advisor to that business, I would have to do a lot of work to let them carry on to get my earnout. So it would effectively been an earnout. But I was at a stage in life where I was doing too much and I had to take stuff off my plate. So I had to stop. Yeah, I'd stop doing product development and stuff like that because I wasn't focused on my family. So I was told, you need to get rid of some stuff off your workload and be more present. So I've done that. So they approached me. Obviously, I've been planting seeds, telling them about my journey, some other businesses that I bought along the way, along the side of that. So I was planting seeds all the time. And I'm just open and honest with people who work in my businesses. Like, I've never held people back. They want to know knowledge, I'll tell them. They want help to set up by themselves or do something, I'll help them. But these guys, they was approaching, they're like mid-40s sort of age. And it's like their last chance to do something for the last 20 years of their working life. And they made me an offer and I said no. I said, instead of that offer you put on me, you can give me a 5x. No, well, it was just 5.8x with the sum of money that I wanted in my head. I said, but you can pay me over 10 years. He was like, what about a down payment? I went, no. I went, you pay me in 12 months. I said, so I can step off now. Obviously, I'll help you. I advise you. I still get to see accounts and stuff like that. I have no control. They do that still. Obviously, I still talk to them on a regular basis. They're all brilliant lads, But that's how I exited that sort of business, because certain industries don't suit exits. And that's one of them, or that sort of builder.
And you had the firepower to enter the negotiation. And so this is what I'm saying for the seller themselves. It's like, you need to get that. Like, instead of just being sucked into a normal system. Like if you went to an advisor, for example, that didn't say that, and you just went, okay.
But it's like, so going back to that, so like with my sell side clients that I advise, I'm like, right, this is a tradition. So this is a rougher value of your business from these three methods. Obviously, you can get more than that. You might get a little bit less than that. It all depends on the appetite of the business and what someone's willing to pay for a business. That's what it comes down to. Yeah. And then, it's like, right, this is your traditional transaction type, rough sort of down payment, anywhere from 60 to 8% down day one, rest over deferred period, 1 to 3 years, maybe 5, depends on what you agree to. Yeah. That's the average transaction, the average Joe. But there are these other options, LBOs, LBIs, there are these creative structures, seller financing, whatever you want to call it. Obviously it depends on how much money they need on the acquisition. A lot of these people have been in their businesses 20 years. They don't need these big lumps of money. It's just nice to get as much out on day one as possible. But it's like I say to them, talk to your tax person, and then obviously you'll get this money down day one. Go and see what your tax man will say to you, get this, or see if he advise you on a different way to structure it, where you get more of a earnout structure over X amount of years. That might be more beneficial for your tax. But with that, you might be able to demand a high multiple. Maybe, So I always put out options, because the way I approach with clients is just the whole transparent picture for them. Because if I'm just naive, like all these big brokerages, and say, you'll get like a 5x multiple. Yeah, you'll get 89% down day one. Like, no, you won't. Not in these certain sectors, you won't. You'll get, like, in construction, it's 2 to 3x. If you stretch to 4, it's because it's very good, right?
It depends on how much the buyer wants you.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, like how much are they willing to
So to all my clients in construction, I say, on paper, 2 to 3x, right? If you want to simplify it as much as possible. If you get more than that, happy days. But don't be expecting what you've been reading on Google, that you're going to get 5 to 7x when you're just doing, even if you're doing 1-2 million EBITDA, like, you're not warranted that yet. When you got like 10 million plus of EBITDA, right? Yeah. Then you're going to get higher multiples. Yeah. But in order to be doing that, you're going to be turning over like way over 30 million. And my clients tend to be between 1 and 20 million turnover, right? So anyone over 20 million goes to more corporate firms or goes and deals with PE brokerages and stuff like that. I'm like small to mid cap SME market. That's where I specialize in.
Yeah. Well, buyers have options, don't they? And this is why I keep saying it's the same as, because like I said, I don't speak too much about the details of the structuring of the deal. However, I do know that if no buyers want you, then you've got nothing to structure.
Yeah.
And buyers have options too. Deal flow. They've got 20 options. So why do they want you?
Yeah.
The same reason. Let's say we're selling radios. We go to John Lewis and we look at all the radios. Why do you want this one? Is it Sony? Does it have the reputation?
Yeah.
Are you willing to pay a bit more? Same with anything to do with babies, for example. You don't tend to buy the cheapest thing. Same with security.
Yeah.
If you can, you will, because you'll go with the trusted brand. This is what creates the numbers, which attracts the buyers.
Yeah.
Buyers with an S. and that means that you can start to position yourself in the way. So it's just a simplification, I think, is all I'm trying to get across. And if you've got something, like let's say you're a restaurant or a haulage company, for example, the restaurant's going to include that building if they own the building. So why would you're not going to, that's an asset that you're going to quantify into the deal.
Yeah.
The haulage company has the lorries. You're going to quantify those into the deal. It turns out you've got, I don't know, some other asset. Quantify that.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? If you've built a brand, sell the brand, and that's all I'm trying to get across. And to me, it's something that's going to help the industry.
No, it is. Yeah, no, I think it's a really good thing. It's like when I talk to people, my initial discussions now, when I've added your section in to even my, obviously more we've been talking over the last like 6 months or so, I mention it more and more, I find, especially with clients looking to exit. And I think they should be advised on it because it is important. You know, whether they like it or not, it can do them a good favour in their valuation.
Oh, you're not trying to convince people. Yeah, like I don't try to convince people either. Sometimes people are, one of the best conversations I ever had was with a guy, you know, all these WhatsApp groups in M&A and this and that. I just posted in it saying something, and he goes, corporate finance. He's in corporate finance, big company. And I just posted about what I was posting about. And he goes, what is this? I have never done a transaction including brand equity and all this. And so naturally I was like, let's talk, you know, let's have a call. Very, you know, one word answers. This dude was having none of me, man. Yeah. He thinks at that point in time, he just, the only thing I've done is the only thing that's real. And we answer the call. Same frost, mate, absolute frost. He goes, so convince me, why are you even doing this? I was like, this isn't a pitch. This is a conversation.
I thought, he's approaching that call like he wants to like just learn a bit about it. Like
it didn't work. I was wanting
it
to
didn't work. Yeah,
no.
He sounds like he's just too rigid in his.
To be honest, but this is why I said one of the best conversations. After it, he helped me with my position. And now we're starting to go into the 50 mil, 100 mil, 200 mil type categories. He helped me refine my positioning, and it was all about the value creation stage. And we ended up working together.
Oh, fair play. All right. So
yeah. And this is what I'm trying to say is I'm not trying to convince you, but there's no.
Well, I think
it's undeniable.
A lot of substance is that ISO national recognition.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I did until when you said that, like I even looked into it. But yeah, it's an actual thing. Like I was very because my sectors, they don't tend to give a shit about brand because it's all very historic, word of mouth, spit on the hand, shake it. You know, like it's very just personal. Just we've worked with them for 10 years. We're just going to carry on working with them. There's no contract, but we just work with them. So like, but new age, different sectors rely on brand.
And it's not new implementing it. It's not like this ISO standard is under leveraged. So they've been doing it since the 80s. Interbrand, for example, £350 million company, they do audit. Brand finance, go visit their office, man. Jesus, it's one of those gilded things. It's like this is a section of the market of which the people that get it,
fair enough,
know, and the other people that don't, good luck.
Yeah, no, look, it's a definitely. I think with business, you need your brand. You need the brand to be on point with the ethos. I'll say that to any entrepreneur, business owner, anyway. Ones that I talk to, ones that are listening.
Markets can be so big that you're almost like your driftwood. You get sucked up into the industry, which means like let's quantify how many toilets there are, the plumbing industry in this country. They're going to be breaking at a rate of knots, yeah. And so the closest one is sometimes the person that gets sucked into it. So this happens a lot with trending items. So I was in a call with the GM of eComplete, who are an unbelievable company, and they're actually doing what my second phase strategy is, where they invest in the company to control the asset and lead them up to sale. That's the obvious one for me as my next stop, no doubt about it. and they were saying about how, because they work in like the beauty industry, so like CBD oil. People, this is becoming a massive industry, and therefore it's not necessarily a first player there's a main player, there'll be main players, but it's something new, and therefore if people see it, as long as it's on the first page of like, your Google shopping kind of thing, and it doesn't look absolutely shite. We all do this. It's that first few milliseconds actually where we make that kind of judgment.
Less than a second.
And perception is reality, and so those people that don't need to do, it's not a particularly high standard. You just got to not be shit, and that's the other side of brand. Actually, is that you think that people want to like maximize their sale or things like that. It's not. It's to make sure that something's not shit. Like when I said about your security. If that thing fails, I wish I'd paid more for the
for the premium.
And there you go. And then you start to hold a brand recognition in a premium category. And it compounds as a manufacturer or as the business owner kind of thing. So it's a slippery slope, but I rain dance on slippery slopes, mate.
That's good. No, it's a good place to be. Like, I think brand, it can go either way though. I think you can overdo it.
Definitely.
Well, you can piss money up the wall fast.
Let me interject there. So I tell this to everyone on the way in. My job is not to sell you branding services. It's to minimize your costs for maximum efficiency. So instead of paying, let's say 100,000 to reach 10 million people, for example, how about you reach 5 million people and convert on a higher rate? Because then you've got a better quality customer. You spent less on your marketing. And I use this example all the time, but my logo was made on Microsoft Paint.
I know,
and then trademarked it, word mark and logo mark. You cannot have brand or exit in your name in the UK. Now you've got a defensible brand.
No, fair play. That's good.
Do you see what I mean? Like, I minimized my cost, but then solidified my asset. And that's what I'm actually doing. I couldn't care less about who it is that does the work, as long as they're right for you and you get what you pay for in full. Again, that first customer that was a conveyancing customer, he told me he paid 15 grand. 15 grand for his website.
No.
Yeah.
No way, mate.
And so this is what I mean. So when if you've got a jam jar company, what do you know about? You're great at jam, brother. No one's doubting that. But
15 grand for a website.
Yeah.
That's madness, mate.
But you need to have someone there that's on your side, who provides the contract, provides the competition. So, for example, instead of just calling your nearest friend, instead of calling your nearest friend, make people win your work.
Yeah, but this is what I've said. This is my approach to business and whatnot. See, I'll always say my biggest skill set is obviously project management, right? So that's how I approach stuff. End goal, stepping stones to that, get it there. On them stepping stones, if I don't have that skill set, I leverage a professional who does, put that in place to then carry on the cycle to the end goal. And that's what some people, it's just unfortunate, they just put the wrong professional in place, the wrong professional who just extorts them price wise.
Do it nice or do it twice.
Yeah,
that's the saying.
But then it's like, if you go too cheap, you pay 3 times as much.
Yeah,
there is that.
So you need.
But he hasn't done his research into what he's probably gone. The first person, what you charging for a website, and this guy's just chanced it and gone 15 grand. And he's gone, all right then, and he's won it. But
so
I've never heard anyone pay that much for a website.
No, you can do, and also, for example, as long as you're calculating the ROI on it, as long as you've justified how much difference this would bring in.
How long ago was this, by the way?
A while ago. It wasn't now.
Yeah.
But again, like now we're all building AI websites that all look exactly the same. Therefore, this is a problem. It's the same with.
I did trial that the other day. Actually, I tried the whole Lovable thing.
Mm-hmm.
I got like a master prompt for the creation of it, so I could do it in one hit off of one prompt in Lovable. It was decent, mate. There was probably about 3 tweaks I would have had to have made.
It's fast, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But then everyone's is the same.
But now I've seen it, I now know what a Lovable website looks like.
You can't unsee it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's very gritty and things like this. And
now everyone has them, and now we're going into the chocolate bar, the beauty, where it's just a minimum standard.
yeah,
It's
but
the minimum.
it does go through waves though. Over the last few years, I've noticed it. People using different softwares and all using the same softwares for. So that's why it's like every 18 months you sort of get something new on the block, and then the website starts to change again.
Yeah.
But then they all start following suit.
Exactly. And AI is it's fast, no doubt about it. It can the 80-20 rule, where sometimes 20% of the effort does 80% of the value.
Yeah.
And as soon as you want to go past it, fantastic. That's a starting point. Use it. I'm not denying that.
Baseline, yeah, alter the end product. It does though. Check it.
It's the same with the language. So as soon as I hear the contrarian style of GPT, it's not this, it's that. The M dash, so this. I genuinely,
you can see it, Marlon.
I cannot connect with people who have not even bothered, even if they're using a prompt to get rid of that stuff. I can't believe it. And so what's going to happen? All markets are cyclical, or all trends are cyclical. People are going to start dispelling this because there's so much now. Emails become so much less valued because of this wave of AI.
Yeah.
And so who's going to be the person that stands out from the crowd? It's the person that zags rather than zigs.
It's the people that will, like you said, put their face to stuff, and video content.
They put their brand to it. So there's a certain style of writing that people will come to expect from you. And if they start seeing too many AI copy and paste.
Yeah, because that's what I think now. I mean, LinkedIn even has its own AI software, doesn't it? They have reviews and things like that. So, and that's why your stuff will get tanked and things. So it's getting cleverer and cleverer, and it's reading itself. As good as everyone uses Claude, and it's good for writing and engaging, there's only X amount of time before a new version of a different AI will be able to read that it's Claude, and then it'll tank your impression rate and stuff like that. So just use the AI for the idea, for the structure, for the whatever, and then just convert it right yourself.
Yeah, it's your co-pilot. It's not an employee. It should not be customer facing.
Yeah.
It helps. Don't get me wrong. I use it for sure. I understand it. Get it.
Yeah.
However, there's that little revision, that final revision where you're like, I need to make this sound like me. Otherwise, it's two AIs talking.
Yeah, I use it for inspiration. Like I said, last year, use it for everything. Tanked my LinkedIn impressions and stuff. I found out why that happened, and then I said, coming into this year, I said, I'm not going to do that. Use it as a baseline, as inspiration, but I've always edited stuff off. Not like just 3 or 4 words, like the whole thing. I go down and redo.
So I struggle with my sentences. I think it's because my mother tongue was Spanish.
Yeah.
And often they put words the wrong way around in sentence structures.
Like the J in this.
Yeah. No, just like almost like sentence structures, or maybe it's just me being a bit of a wiggy person. I don't know. But I use it to refine my structure of writing. I tell it, do not change what I've written because this is what I mean.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? But make sure it is grammatically correct and structure it in a way that's logical in a narrative.
Yeah.
In a narrative. This is a godsend of a technology for that type of thing, but it's still me.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And you'll see this as a trend within companies now and brand building. It's not about the perfect structure, which is what this is. It can only do for the with chairs that are in school, they're uncomfortable. It's because they're made for everyone. Therefore, they're made for no one. And so what's happening in brand building is you're getting a lot more hand-drawn. I don't want to start talking about logos because, again, counter positioning. Your brand is not your logo. However, it's the symbol. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. It's the symbol on everything, but you're getting hand-drawn stuff. Same as you're looking for people who are saying stuff that an AI would never, ever say, swearing, for example.
Yeah.
People are connecting with that more now. And so this is, again, how you build your tribe.
Yeah, because the people who get a lot of engagement on socials is the controversial hook, Like I've noticed I'm not very opinionated or controversial on LinkedIn because I'm not like that anyway. Like if you ask me my opinion, I'll give it you, for example. But if you don't ask me, I don't just openly spout what my brain say.
Yeah, I struggle with that too.
Yeah, and then the whole, because I only really use LinkedIn anyway because it's the platform that obviously we relate to. So like case studies at the moment are really good for me. They work a lot.
There you go.
Yeah, which is just a proof again. I'm a bit behind. I was supposed to start doing more video content. If anything, I need to start shooting that and releasing that because my initial batch wasn't really good enough. So you're all right.
Just when you get the
Oh right, sorry. I think you did. Yeah. So yeah, and the other one is just like stories, like relatable stories. Like they're the main ones, I think now.
Yeah,
That's it.
same with me. Relatable stories. That is my. The point is that you don't have to make this into this never-ending cycle of what you should do. It's just every time you show up, your quality. That's what this is all about. And people don't need to see too much of you. And anyone that's that sees if you post every day is probably on it a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? But if you're on it and you're like, oh, I love that again. Oh, I love that again.
Yeah.
By 10, you're in.
That's what I mean. I mean, I've done the stupid. Like I've trialed like the 2-day post, 2-a-day post. Sorry, and like it don't work. It tanks you, mate. And because with the acquisition collective, I only advertise it on. I've got the website, I've got the Eventbrite page, right, and then I just pump it on LinkedIn because that's my audience. That's where my audience lived, right? If LinkedIn shut down or shut me down, I'd be pretty fucked, if I'm honest. But that's the platform I go to. But I was going so hard for the acquisition collective, but obviously I didn't know at first. I was putting in links to take people off the platform, which you don't like. I was tagging too many people. I was doing all this stuff to promote it, blah, blah, blah. And then I was thinking, why am I getting no impressions, mate? I was getting tanked. And then I found out why. And then I had to take like a month off and then come back and start rebuilding it gradually with my message. And then I learned about the new algorithm coming out and reading AI read your page now and what you actually write. And then it puts you in front of the right people. It's not about high impression rates anymore. It's all about saves, recommendations, and obviously putting you in front of the right people that you talk to, comment on, and things like that. So it's gone from a numbers game, like a virality sort of mindset, to like a more more designated person that you need to build up from your consistent posting. Because
it appreciates the zig when everyone else is out.
Yeah. No, it does that.
Because now I struggle to be on LinkedIn because photo of your face, quick selfie, real estate. Yeah, we get it. It's technically sound information. They need to know that or maybe this was before, but if you, again, we could go on now if we want and just scroll through.
Yeah.
And there's a certain length that it needs to be. And it's written purely in AI. And that's all. I was looking at it going, is this what this is?
But I have noticed since this newest update, the whole generic AI crap, because all it was generic AI crap, and then it was carousels, because that used to convert a lot. Because the carousel thing, get people to scan across so the most amount of time would stay on there, and then it would pump them in front of more people. And if it gets, after like an hour and a half, if it gets a certain amount, and it gets fed to a whole next level, etc., etc. It's just changing again, and it keeps changing every 3-6 months.
So at the end of the day, you have to be you, and you have to have your own strategy, because if you start trying to chase algorithms, again, you can either burn out. We've all experienced that when you're handling media specifically. The most underrated thing is that how consuming it can be. It's a full-time, to do it properly, even on, say, 2 platforms, just to focus on 2, that's a full-time job for someone, really. And again, what you're talking about is media assets. So from these podcasts, I started mine because I was like, hey, which one suits me? I love chatting. I knew I needed to market better because I was so on the knock-on door strategy that it was actually detrimental and just completely non-scalable, although I still can't get rid of that because that's me. Which one's the best? Well, I'm not a content creator. And I need to talk to people to not just learn, but also...
I think like what you say, the podcast suits you.
Exactly. So
I never thought in a million years I would be on a podcast.
Yeah.
Well, doing my own podcast. I never thought that in a million years. And that's the growth I've had in the last year, which has come from starting the Acquisition Collective. I think, when did I start? May? It started in May 25.
Yeah.
And it's just evolved because I only done it because it's something that I wanted to do. It was something to put me out of my comfort zone and do, you know, and I've evolved as a person doing it, just from meeting new people, talking to new people. It's fun. I'm in a position in life where I don't have to work, right? But I work because I want to work. And then this kind of stuff is just for fun and it fits in around my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we're recording this, all I've got to do today, like I said to you was running late. I was like, that's cool. You've all I've got to do. And then all I've got to do later is pick my kids up from school and then be daddy. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. I'm blessed in that way.
Well, that's where we're all trying to get to.
Yeah.
For sure. That's the dream of this industry, going back to specifically M&A, is that's where my heart is. And that's why I just keep saying my heart is on the sell side, because we're all trying to get to that place where... You ever watched The Weakest Link? Do you remember that? And they get to 4. Yeah. And you're screaming at the TV going, bank this, you know.
They never do. They're just gambling addicts, mate, just on telly. Yeah. I'm telling you. Yeah.
And so this is what you're doing with your business, where you're going, I know it's your baby, right? Yeah. You should probably separate assets from your identity, because again, if this thing gets disrupted, if a new legislation, if we owned a vape company and we've been going well for 15 years, new government comes in and they say no more vapes, we should have sold that thing 2 months ago. Yeah. And been prepared to sell it 3 years ago because of that fact. And so the last thing you want to do is for everything that you worked for to drop through. Yeah. So what you've got to do is bank it. You seen The Gambler, the movie?
No, I haven't, no.
He talks about being from a position of fuck you. So real gamblers, they've got 20 mil in the bank, dude. They're just playing around with the other stuff.
Do you know, I watched a documentary on gambling addicts before, right? And do you know what they're addicted to? It's not the win. So part of this documentary, I don't know how they tested the brain. Like when this one guy say he's playing roulette or craps or something, and it's not the winning. When he wins, it's the same sort of dopamine effect in his brain. Then it's the anticipation of the result. It's the waiting on the result. That's what they're addicted to.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of gambling addicts, they don't give a shit about what they win. It's about it's the buzz they get from waiting to find out. Yeah. That's the bet.
Oh, I can imagine. And obviously anyone that's too deep in it to the point of a gambling addict, what I'm trying to say is the movie states that the best gamblers do it from a position where they've got a nest egg. Yeah. Good gamblers, sometimes it's a skill. Often it's a skill.
Some people do it for a full-time living.
Exactly. Yeah. But the point is that you've built the assets. Now sell those assets so that you've got that cushion. Yeah. Now you can do whatever you want from a strategic level. Mm-hmm. That's the fuck you money that means that you can now... that's the other thing, is like, I'll never sell my business. I don't want to sip cocktails on the beach. No one's telling you to sip cocktails on the beach.
You just find it a different outlet.
The point is, again, that optionality is you haven't got the option to sit on the beach having cocktails because you're too deep business at the moment. Therefore, separate yourself from this business, like you said.
It's like when I exited my first business, it was like, I thought, I want to retire. I thought I got 10 years worth of money, or 10 years worth of payments. So I thought I'm covered for 10 years. Obviously, I could stretch that to 15 years. So while the kids are young, I could be there full time. I took this, obviously, I exited about a month before summer holidays. Took the summer holidays off. Yeah, it's good, fun times, all haps and whatnot. And good fun time.
Now back into it.
They go, no, they all went back to school. And after 2 weeks, my wife, she's like, you're pacing again for no reason. Because when I get bored, I just pace like in the house, and I just get like, apparently I'm like antsy.
I can imagine you doing a power walk.
Yeah. And she's like, go and do something, mate. Because obviously at the time I had a few developments on there. I was just finishing some stuff off. And she's like, what are you doing next? I was like, nothing. She's like, you're not just going to annoy me at home. Like,
yeah, no, exactly. And because you're an entrepreneur in the first place, there's no doubt you're going to sit still, but bank it, then make your next move.
yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
where I'd already started helping some people on the buy side, because I don't originate from sell side. I actually originate from buy sides, like off market sourcing. So I already had 3 clients and I was searching for them. And then eventually after a couple of years, I was getting so many people on the outreach of that saying, no, I don't want to sell to that person you've got, but I want to sell. So it just organically evolved from there. But the buy side I dropped the back end of last year because the amount of money it costs for the stacks and the amount of time it takes to do buy side properly is very
buy side as in deal flow.
Yeah. It's very time consuming. And no, it's not for me. And I think I looked at it from a business perspective. I thought that service, just drop it out. And I'd already, in the last 2-3 years anyway, I've been doing sales side alongside it. So I thought I'll just carry on doing that from 26, that and advisory. And I decided to implement the growth plan. You know, it's like now I've got like 2 sales guys. No, 1 now, sorry, because 1 went AWOL. It's a very strange scenario. And I'm building up the back end to be implemented by Q3 this year. You know, so that's on its growth strategy now, because my wife was like, you need to go and do a bit more of something because you're just annoying me.
Yeah.
You know,
And so that's the fear. But then again, you're just standing from a position of options. That's all you're doing.
Yeah. Like my life now, because I've exited on paper 4 businesses, but 1 was a group of 3, so 2. That's enough. I'm fine now. And that's why I have money coming in. It's fine. I don't have to worry about anything. And then I've got portfolios and stuff like that. So I can do stuff like this. I can do, because this is what I want to do. And that's why I've decided to go and try something completely different and evolve the acquisition collective into more of sort of events company now, which is where it's heading, like I was discussing with you earlier, which I can do that and trial because I can. And it's something new to go into.
That's the dream. And look what you set up. So you surprise yourself in what you've done after it. You might have thought that you were this identity first because you were attached to your businesses. But as soon as you saw them as assets and went, right, now I've got other priorities. We all know the dedication that it needs to build a company up of any sort of stature. You've got these Jordan Spittle, one of the guys that I had on. He talked about it as
Cube.
He talked about it as buckets.
Yeah.
And it's almost impossible.
Is this the hole in the bucket analogy?
Yeah. So if the business bucket's thriving, but your family bucket's at the end of the day, you can.
But that's where I was at, and that's why the wife, she said, you need to calm down, and that's why.
Because your identity is within your family and yourself, and that's the separation.
And I was pushing so hard to, don't get me wrong, excel the family, but the foundation was set, it was secure, and she was like, "What are you still pushing so hard for?" You know, like Carl wants you, mate. Obviously, Lily's here now. Like, at that time it's just both of them. We got 3 now, and then it's like, you need to be here, dude. Like, like, it's all good. Like, we got money, we're fine.
And when you're an elderly person, I'm not even sure what my grandma was, mate. She just had a big family of people that she was there for and loved. I know what she was, but the point is that your family don't care what you were. You could have been something else. Now, if you can set them up financially, that's how you get your ROI on the business itself.
Yeah,
as a chunk rather than
the things that I've learned. I will always say to people, a lot of people who have sold their business, been in their business for like 20, 30 years, divorce, kids, not great relationships because
Big cold house.
they focused so hard and done everything by themselves. They've not let people in to help them, not got advisors on. They see it as it's their ship, they sail it, they want to maximize. They see the money as the fucking real thing, whereas everything else just goes. You can have your cake and eat it. You can have good business, but you just got to weigh up your time the right way. I was blind to it at first, and it took my wife to tell me that, which obviously I'm very fortunate for. So I just listened for once, and it's worked out well. But for a lot of people, it doesn't, unfortunately. And that's one thing. It's just not nice to see, you know. Like I'll always say, prioritize your family over your business. Like if you can't do both, then yeah, maybe entrepreneurship's not for you. But that's just my personal opinion to that as well.
Yeah, you can aim. Me, on the other hand, I'm setting up my family's stability because there's the Colombian background. Dad was a street kid. Mum was a primary school teacher. Grandparents were doctors in Pakistan.
Yeah,
We just had nothing as far as assets, man. It was matriarchal.
like, people ask me, they're like, "Oh, what sort? Do you come from an entrepreneurial household?" No, like both my parents were just employees. Like my dad was a draftsman, and my mum looked after disabled children.
What's a draftsman?
A draftsman's like not an architect. It's like the one under an architect. Like architect, you go to uni for 7 years. A draftsman, you just do a couple of years in. You do CAD, like AutoCAD, for example, learn how to draft stuff like that sort of software stuff. So, yeah, you could probably do similar stuff that an architect do, but you don't go and do 8 years of training for it.
Yeah, and so this is what I'm trying to say. And so I always imagine like the first stage is admitting. Like there's only two options. Well, there's three really. Is that you sell your business going on the up. You become a forced seller, like we talked about the vape stuff. You might be on the up, but as soon as that line goes flat / down, you just lost it in minutes. It's like a stock market type thing. Or you close shop, which is just weird to me. I can't believe
that's not, mate. It's not unusual though. Not unusual.
No, I know. I was in the sauna with someone the other day. I'm always speaking to people in sauna.
Oh, you love it, yeah.
Yeah. He was saying that, and I suppose that actually wasn't a problem. So we're speaking in principle and from our perspective, but also the empathetic side is understanding what their motivations were. And he'd sold 2 businesses and he'd closed others. And he was saying, never throw good money after bad money. Good money after bad money, is that the same? Just don't invest in something that's tanking. Close it, reinvest in something that's going up. That was his mindset.
A lot of successful entrepreneurs have gone through all of it. They would have gone through bad business, good business, but they always say bad business is in there, and they're the ones that teach you a lot. But a lot of major entrepreneurs, like a lot of people online that sort of you look at and listen to and read and the stuff that have made massive losses, like shut down companies, and like they probably failed at 3 companies before they've got onto a good one, and then from their failures, then they've excelled into others and stuff and become multimillionaires. You look at any major entrepreneur in this country, they have at least one fail under them, I think.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
for sure. The faster you can fail, the sooner you succeed.
Yeah, I've not had all successes. I've had to shut down 2. So, but that's learning, I think. But that's me. I have to learn the hard way of everything in all my bits. I have to learn I have to be burnt. I have to learn the hard way. Yeah, to do it that way. But with what I gain from it, it always changes. I never make the same mistake twice, right? That's one thing I've always been taught.
You know, one of the best sayings around that is if you're walking down the street and you step in dog shit, it's not your fault, bro. Like, that's all right. Yeah. If you then come back down that street,
it's definitely
and step in it again, that's like you.
Yeah. It's true though, yeah.
That makes me crack up every time.
Yeah. But with business, when you get into business, you understand, if you're not too single-minded, that you can start a business and go and do it, or you can acquire something great. If that fails, don't be scared to start again, because even if I had nothing, the joy of today is you got a lot of knowledge at your fingertips with Google and stuff like that. You know, whereas like our generation was talking about earlier, when we was coming out into the world from school, yeah, there was just about phones, but it's all about relationships and who you knew and what doors you banged on to talk to.
Yeah.
Whereas kids, like everyone's like, yeah, but this generation, they're making thousands, like they're making AI businesses, they're selling stuff online. You get an 18-year-old's making like £2,000 a day. Yeah, but that's because the access to they're getting access to knowledge at a younger age. So it's putting them in a better position. I was talking to a young guy the other day. He just reached out because he wanted some just advice. He's getting into M&A. He's just come back to the UK from Dubai because he's been out there doing commercial stuff. He's got a big run of money. So he says he's looking to make his first acquisition, knows what size business he wants. He lives in his own flat. He said that he's got 2 years worth of money to live in this flat in a simple life while he searches and finds this business. He says he's got his stack of outreach and he's reaching up to like 5,000 emails a month just to get initial conversations going. The guy's 22, mate. And just from initial conversation, the guy is very switched on, knows what he's going on about. And I replied to him because I had a Zoom call with him and whatnot. By the afternoon, we'd swap numbers and he sent me some other stuff through because he's got 2 deals like partly agreed, heads of terms, mate, with like off-market deals he sourced, but he doesn't want them. And I'm like, well, just let him know you don't want them then. Or find someone to pass them on to, for example. But he's built all the rapport and the guy wants to sell to him. I said, well, you got to take it or you got to leave it. And you got to make that decision. I said, how do you get yourself? He presented me this snapshot of the summary of his approach to value in this business. I have never seen such brilliant review stack of how to build it. I said to him, how have you done that? Because I know he comes from a commercial property background. So I thought, and that, you see like an Excel spreadsheet, like a 2-page spread, it has everything broken down. It looks like a financial model has made it. It's exceptional. And he goes, to be honest, someone professional that I know created it for me. And so I've now got the template. I said, okay, fair enough. He explains terms, business cycles, everything like that. He's just waiting to make his first acquisition. But people like that, I said, what drives you to be that, to be what you are? He goes, I'm just a bit obsessive, if I'm honest. I was like, fair play to you, mate. Like, he's gone out to Dubai for 2 years and stacked all his money, come back, and now he's got his plan set out already, like all by himself.
Yeah, right.
Like, it's brilliant what the younger generation are capable of with a good approach, a good, solid, hard-working approach with the technology that they have at their fingertips.
Yeah.
Like, it's really... Imagine if our generation had that when we was like early, mid-teens, getting ready to come out of school.
Yeah, wow.
It would be, yeah. Fair. People like, I've got this other mentee that I've got, Alexander, as well. He's on to a good one as well. He's like 23, 24. I can't wait to see these guys when they're like 30 to see how much they got, because their strategies and their plans are brilliant already. They're just struggling to get that first one over the line, and that's why I kind of help them. I even jump on like their discovery calls with these business owners because they're not getting nowhere by themselves, but I come on the calls with them and I just say, I'm their advisor, basically. I'm not in business with them, but I'm going to be their board advisor. This is my background. I'm here to advise him. So yes, he's new. He's going to tell you his story, but I'm here to advise. And this is my background. So combined, I can get, because he was getting his foot in the door, pardon me, but he's getting, like you said, if I put a person in front of one of my clients and they'd never run a business, well, one, I wouldn't even put them in that meeting, but I would be like, if you never run a business, why are you going to run my business, which I've created for 30 years, turns over 5 million a year? Why am I going to sell it to you? You wouldn't even have that conversation, would you? Let's be honest, unless you know they got some sort of advisory behind them. So, That's why. And I don't charge them either. I do that at the kindness of my own heart. Because I think if you're going to mentor someone, you shouldn't need to get paid for it.
For the younger guys, for sure.
Because that's why I do like the acquisition collective. That's why I'm going to do the workshops. Is because I want people to have the right information from professionals. You know, obviously the workshops will be paid for because people and venues need paying, but it's not going to be extortionate. And that's what I want to do for this industry. So with Sterling Valley, my brokerage, I just want to give good, honest advice, and give a good service in reality. And with the acquisition collective, I just, again, want to give real people real advice the right way. That's it. Like, I'm not here to squeeze every bit of money out of everyone. I'm fine for money. I don't need it for the financial gain. So that's the reason I think it works, because it's like pure, So when I say to people, it's a passion project, it's literally come from a passion project. For me, getting challenged from the wife. Well, you know the story anyway, but yeah, mate. It's just fun,
Yeah. It's definitely got the right values about it, mate.
Yeah, like it's not. Yeah, it's good. So where can everyone find you online? Obviously, I'll put all the stuff in the description afterwards, but yeah. So let's summarize the brand exit again.
So you can get me on socials, man. Like LinkedIn's obviously me, Stevie with a Y, Stevey Arroyo. My podcast, the Brand Exit podcast, and shout out to the Founders Exit SaaS platform where we're integrated. So you'll be getting our services if you sign up for them as well.
That's good.
So it's an exit readiness platform run by a guy called Lee Wells. It's James Bonfigure, worked in big data and tech.
Yeah, so Lee I met at the previous event for the first time. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, we came together.
Yeah. He's good to me. I liked his story. I've actually got to reach out and see if he'll come on air as well.
Man, that's he's one of the best people that has come through.
His story's good story, isn't he?
Yeah. He just, within 2 minutes, he was like, brand, love it, let's partner. I was like, wow. And since then, we had the same dog, got the wishes.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, which never harms a business relationship.
No, that's good.
He's been a sponsor, he's been an advisor, and so, I don't know.
Yeah, because he's had a couple exits, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's serious.
Yeah.
Serious dude, and just kind-hearted. So yeah, that's the platform, the Founders Exit, that you can find us on if you just do decide to get exit ready.
Nice.
And I might knock on your door if I want to meet you, mate. I'll knock on your door, mate. Trust that.
Yeah, good stuff, man. All right, Stevie. I'm gonna probably wrap it there because I think we've been going for a fair while. But
Loved it.
It's been brilliant, mate.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Good man.